Hello everyone and welcome to the Young and the Restless channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Tuesday, April 7, 2026. Today on The Young and the Restless, Kane eyes revenge. Malcolm returns seeking Lily's help and Holden's mom wants to come clean. The day begins quietly, almost deceptively so, as the hum of morning life settles over Genoa City. But beneath the surface, something far more volatile is already stirring. Inside the warm, familiar glow of crimson lights, Holden sits alone with a cup of coffee growing cold in his hands, his attention split between the screen of his phone and the weight of uncertainty pressing on his future. He scrolls through job listings, each swipe carrying a quiet frustration he tries not to show. When a message lights up the screen, his mother is running late, but she's on her way. A small, almost involuntary smile slips across his face, a fleeting moment of comfort in an otherwise unsettled day. But that moment is interrupted when Audra walks in, her presence sharp and knowing, her eyes immediately locking onto his expression. She wastes no time questioning him, her tone edged with suspicion as she wonders if his smile has anything to do with Claire. Holden deflects, but the tension between them quickly rises, thick with unspoken truths and dangerous secrets. Each word they exchange carrying just enough bite to remind them both how much leverage they hold over each other. Audra settles in, her posture confident, almost predatory, as their conversation spirals into a heated back and forth filled with veiled threats and cutting remarks. They circle around the same names, Kyle, Noah, Claire, like orbiting debris from a past neither of them can fully escape. Each mention tightening the knot between them. Holden dares to suggest that honesty might win Claire over, that telling the truth about Los Angeles could somehow set things right. But Audra shuts him down instantly, her voice dropping into something far more dangerous. She makes it clear that if he dares to speak, she will make his life a living nightmare. And for a moment, the air between them feels suffocating. Then, like a sudden crack of thunder, the tension is shattered as Dr. Stephanie Simmons storms in, her presence commanding and unyielding as she demands to know exactly who Audra thinks she is, threatening her son. The shift is immediate. What was once a private battle now becomes something exposed, raw, and impossible to ignore. Holden quickly tries to smooth things over, introducing Audra as nothing more than an old friend, though the tension lingering in the air tells a very different story. Stephanie's skepticism is unmistakable, her gaze cutting through the polite facade as if she can see straight through the lies. Audra attempts to regain control, offering a formal introduction and extending her hand, but Stephanie meets the gesture with visible disdain, her silence speaking louder than any words. Eventually, under pressure, she accepts the handshake, but the moment is cold, transactional, and entirely devoid of warmth. Wasting no time, Stephanie dismisses Audra, making it clear she wants her gone so she can speak to her son alone. Once they're finally alone, her concern surfaces with sharp clarity. She warns Holden that Audra is nothing but trouble, a force that could drag him down if he's not careful. But Holden isn't interested in warnings. His patience is thin, his curiosity sharper, and he cuts straight to the heart of it, demanding to know why she came all this way. Stephanie hesitates, the weight of her words clearly heavy, before finally admitting that what she is about to reveal will change everything he thought he knew about his life. Meanwhile, far from the quiet tension of the cafe, a storm of a different kind is unfolding aboard what has come to be known as the Kane train. Kane Ashby sits across from an accountant, his expression expectant, but the news he receives lands like a devastating blow. One by one, the facts unravel until there is nothing left to hold on to. His assets are gone, completely wiped out, as if they never existed at all. The disbelief hits first, then anger, and finally, something far more dangerous begins to take shape as he demands answers that no one can give. The money didn't move, it didn't transfer, it simply vanished, leaving behind a void that no institution is willing to fill. Doors that once opened effortlessly to him are now firmly shut, and even his offshore accounts offer only a fraction of what he's lost. But where most would see defeat, Kane sees opportunity, twisted and ruthless, as he decides that if he can't rebuild through legitimate means, he'll take what others have built instead. With chilling resolve, he orders the search for the weakest companies in town, and when the man hesitates, unwilling to cross that line, Kane doesn't hesitate for a second. He fires him on the spot, leaving no doubt that he's stepping into something far darker than before. Across town at Summers' conglomerate, the mood couldn't be more different. Phyllis Summers is riding a wave of triumph, her voice brimming with energy as she closes a deal over the phone that sends a surge of adrenaline through her. She revels in the victory, savoring the taste of success like it's been too long denied, before immediately reaching out to Lauren to share the moment. There's pride in her voice, a fierce independence as she declares they don't need anyone else in Genoa City to succeed. They're doing just fine on their own. It's a rare moment of pure confidence, untainted by the chaos swirling around her. But even that sense of victory feels fragile, as if the world is quietly preparing to challenge it. At the club, the atmosphere is layered with unease as Devon and Nate cross paths with Lily, the tension between them still lingering from wounds that haven't yet healed. Lily Winters tries to maintain composure, though the strain is visible, admitting she's meeting someone but offering little more. Devon can't help but hope it isn't Kane, the mere thought of him enough to stir frustration, but Lily quickly dismisses the idea, revealing instead that Kane isn't speaking to her at all. Regret creeps into her words, a quiet acknowledgement of mistakes she can't undo. And before the conversation can settle, it's interrupted by a familiar presence, Malcolm Winters. His arrival is warm yet unexpected, his greeting filled with affection as he calls Lily his baby girl, a reminder of the deep bond they share. But beneath that warmth lies something urgent, something serious enough that he asks to speak with her alone, leaving Devon and Nate exchanging puzzled, uneasy glances as they watch her walk away. In the jazz lounge, surrounded by memories that never quite fade, Malcolm and Lily find themselves standing before the portrait of Neil Winters, the weight of his absence filling the room. There's a quiet reverence in the air as they reflect on him, on everything he meant, and for a brief moment it feels as though his presence still lingers there, guiding them. Malcolm draws strength from that feeling, but what he has to say isn't easy, and Lily senses it immediately, her nervous laughter betraying the fear creeping in. Then the truth comes, heavy and unrelenting. He's been diagnosed with aplastic anemia, a rare and potentially fatal disease if left untreated. The words hang in the air, impossible to ignore, as he explains why he's really come back, not just for family, but because he needs her help to survive. The weight of that responsibility settles over Lily instantly, but she doesn't hesitate, her shock quickly transforming into determination as she asks what she can do. Malcolm explains that he needs a bone marrow transplant, that the best chance for a match lies within family, and Lily doesn't even flinch at the thought. She promises to get tested, dismissing any fear or discomfort, her focus entirely on saving him. There's something deeply emotional in the way she accepts this, not as a burden but as an honor, a chance to protect someone she loves. Malcolm reminds her of the past, how Olivia once faced the same disease, how Drew stepped in and saved her life, and that history becomes a source of hope rather than fear. Lily clings to that hope, her voice steady even as emotion builds beneath the surface, insisting that he will beat this, that he has to. In her heart, she believes that her father's spirit will somehow guide them through this, that this story doesn't have to end in loss. For Lily, this is more than a medical fight. It's a chance to rewrite an ending she couldn't change before. Back in the dining room, the tension resurfaces as Devon and Nate speculate about Malcolm's sudden return, their thoughts inevitably circling back to Kane. Devon's frustration boils over, his resentment toward Kane unmistakable as he labels him a parasite, convinced that Lily's feelings for her ex are far from gone. Nate, more measured, isn't so sure things can ever go back to what they were, and the uncertainty lingers between them. Then, as if summoned by their very thoughts, Kane appears, his presence immediately shifting the energy in the room. He makes it clear he has no intention of leaving town, and that declaration sparks an immediate clash, words sharp and unfiltered as Devon challenges him. Kane remains unfazed, insisting his plans are his own, while Nate mocks the illusion of power he's trying to maintain. The confrontation escalates quickly, Devon drawing a firm line as he wants Kane to stay away from his family, a boundary that feels as fragile as it is necessary. Moments later, the tension only deepens when Lily and Malcolm return, and the worlds of personal crisis and external conflict collide. Phyllis arrives just in time to catch Kane declaring he wants nothing to do with Lily, and her reaction is immediate, laced with satisfaction as she mocks how long it took him to come to that conclusion. But the moment shifts again when Malcolm steps forward, confronting Kane directly, his warning clear and unwavering: stay away from his family. Kane meets the challenge with equal defiance before walking away, leaving behind a silence filled with unresolved hostility. As the group attempts to regain some sense of normalcy, Malcolm receives a text, his expression tightening ever so slightly before he brushes it off, telling Lily he has to meet an old friend. There's something off about it, something unspoken, and even as he assures them everything is fine, the unease remains, lingering just beneath the surface. At the bar, Phyllis finds Kane once more, her curiosity piqued and her instincts sharp as ever. She congratulates him in her own biting way for finally letting go of Lily, but she doesn't stop there, probing deeper into his intentions. With a mimosa in hand and victory still fresh in her voice, she questions why he's still in town, what game he's playing now. Her guesses come one after another, Lily, Victor, even herself, until the question lands with a quiet intensity. Is it all of the above? Kane's response is nothing more than a smirk, but it says everything, hinting at a storm of revenge that hasn't yet fully revealed itself. And as the day circles back to crimson lights, the quiet tension from earlier finally reaches its breaking point. Stephanie sits across from Holden, the weight of her secret pressing heavily on her as she struggles to find the right words. This isn't easy for her. Nothing about this is, but she knows she can't keep it hidden any longer. Holden senses the shift, his impatience fading into something more cautious, more uncertain, as he realizes the gravity of what's coming. When she finally speaks, her voice carries the weight of years of silence as she tells him that what he's about to hear will change his world forever. And then, with no way to soften the impact, she delivers the truth that has been buried for far too long. It's time for him to learn the truth about his father. The words linger between them like a storm cloud that refuses to break, heavy with everything they threaten to change, as Holden sits frozen across from Dr. Stephanie Simmons inside Crimson Lights. For a brief moment, the noise of the cafe seems to fade into nothing, replaced by the pounding of his own heartbeat as he tries to process what she's just said. Stephanie's expression softens, but only slightly, as though even now she's bracing herself for the fallout of a truth that has been buried for years. Holden leans forward, his voice quieter now, edged with a mix of fear and urgency, pressing her to stop circling around it and just say it. There's a long pause, the kind that stretches uncomfortably before she finally begins, her words careful but unflinching as she starts to unravel a past he never knew existed. And as she speaks, the foundation of everything Holden believed about his life begins to crack, piece by piece, threatening to collapse entirely under the weight of what he's about to learn. Stephanie tells him that the man he grew up believing was his father isn't the whole truth, that there are secrets tied to his past that were kept from him for reasons she once believed were necessary. Her voice carries both regret and resolve, as if she's been living with this burden for far too long and can no longer justify the silence. Holden's reaction is immediate and visceral, disbelief flashing across his face as he tries to interrupt, to push back against something that feels impossible to accept. But Stephanie doesn't stop this time. She can't, because she knows that once the truth starts, it has to be told completely. She hints at a connection that reaches far beyond what he imagined, something that could reshape not only how he sees himself, but how he fits into the world around him. The revelation doesn't come all at once. Instead, it unfolds slowly, deliberately, each detail hitting harder than the last, leaving Holden caught between anger and confusion, unsure which emotion to trust. As the conversation deepens, the tension between them becomes almost unbearable, with Holden demanding answers faster than Stephanie can give them. Every question he throws at her carries years of unspoken curiosity, now sharpened into something urgent and raw, and she does her best to keep up, even as the weight of her confession threatens to overwhelm her. She explains why she kept the truth hidden, how she believed she was protecting him, but the justification feels fragile now, even to her own ears. Holden struggles to reconcile the image of the life he knew with the reality being laid out before him, his mind racing to connect pieces that never seemed to matter until now. There is a moment where he looks away, his gaze distant, as though he's trying to hold on to something solid while everything else shifts beneath him. And yet, despite the shock, there's something else beginning to surface within him, a need to know everything, no matter how painful it might be. While that deeply personal storm unfolds, the ripple effects of the day's other revelations continue to spread across Genoa City, threading together lives that are all quietly moving toward collision. At the club, the echoes of earlier confrontations still hang in the air, with Kane Ashby retreating into his own thoughts after his tense encounters. The loss of his fortune isn't just a financial blow, it's a wound to his identity, a fracture in the image of control he spent years building. And now, with revenge taking root in its place, every interaction feels calculated, every glance weighed with intention. His smirk at the bar earlier wasn't just confidence, it was a warning, a glimpse into the kind of man he's becoming now that he has nothing left to lose. The idea of taking what others have built no longer feels like a last resort. It feels inevitable, a path he's already begun to walk. Nearby, Phyllis Summers continues to ride the high of her success, but even her victory carries an edge of anticipation, as though she senses the shift happening around her. Her instincts are rarely wrong, and Kane's presence in town, combined with his cryptic hints of revenge, doesn't sit easily with her. She replays their conversation in her mind, analyzing every word, every expression, searching for clues about what he might do next. For someone like Phyllis, winning is never just about the moment, it's about staying ahead, and right now, the board is changing faster than anyone expected. Still, she holds on to her triumph, letting it fuel her confidence, even as the possibility of conflict looms just beyond the horizon. Back in the quieter corners of the club, Lily Winters finds herself caught between two emotional realities that couldn't be more different. On one side, there's the confrontation with Kane, the unresolved tension and lingering feelings that refuse to fully disappear no matter how much she tries to move forward. On the other, there's the far more urgent and deeply personal crisis involving Malcolm Winters, whose life now hangs in a delicate balance. His sudden departure after receiving that mysterious text lingers in her mind, a subtle but persistent worry that something more is happening beneath the surface. She tries to reassure Devon and Nate that everything is fine, but the words feel hollow even as she says them, because deep down she knows nothing about this situation is simple. Malcolm, meanwhile, steps out into a world that suddenly feels far more uncertain than when he arrived, the weight of his diagnosis shadowing every step he takes. His decision to meet an old friend carries a sense of urgency that goes beyond casual reconnection, hinting at layers of his life that even Lily may not fully understand. The fight ahead of him is daunting, filled with treatments, risks, and no guarantees. But there's also a quiet determination in him, a refusal to let fear define what comes next. Still, the road ahead is unpredictable, and every choice he makes now feels like it could shape whether that road leads to recovery or something far more devastating. And as all these threads continue to tighten, the moment at Crimson Lights remains at the center of it all, where Holden sits on the edge of a truth that is still unfolding. Stephanie's confession hasn't fully landed yet, not completely, because there are still pieces missing, details that have yet to be spoken aloud. But even now, the shift is undeniable. The sense that nothing will ever be quite the same once the full truth comes out. Holden's world is no longer steady, no longer predictable, and the answers he is about to receive may not bring the clarity he's hoping for. Instead, they may open the door to even more questions, more complications, and more connections to the lives already entangled in this growing storm. Because in Genoa City, revelations never exist in isolation. They ripple outward, touching everything, everyone, until the entire landscape begins to change. And as this day continues to unfold, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The truth, once revealed, doesn't just set people free, it sets everything in motion.